And today we'll be talking about something very interesting, our gut health. How is our gut health linked to several things, whether it's our mood, our energy, immune health, and a few strategies that we can do to transform our health and vitality. All right, so when we think about our gut health, right, it is a powerhouse, right? We have trillions of bacteria that play an essential role when it comes to digestion and nutrient absorption or waste elimination, which is the common thing when we think about digestive system or digestive health, the overall thing. We think about mainly that digesting food, absorbing nutrients, and eliminating waste. But our gut health actually goes beyond just digestion. It communicates directly with our brain, sending signals that influences our mood, or alertness or behavior. So we call the gut brain connection. And let me ask you a question. Who's ever felt hungry before? You can type it in the chat. Just type a one in the chat for me. Like, when maybe someone said you're just not you when you're hungry, you feel a little bit irritable or you're moody. But once you eat, have something to eat, you're like a different person. You're going back to the old you. And I see in the chat coming in, yes, 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 the person who experienced it before, and there's a reason for that. But and I'm gonna get into that. But there are other things as well where when you get nervous or anxiety, maybe you have an exam coming up the next day, or it's your first day, or you have a big presentation or performance to do. Have you ever experienced where you feel like your stomach is in cramps or like butterflies, or maybe you feel a little nauseous, you maybe even experience diarrhea, right? These again just show how well that things just connect where gut health can have an impact on our emotions itself. And one of the key things in this connection we find is serotonin, right? Which, if you've ever heard of the feel good hormone, no, there are other things as well, but it's going to focus on one right now. And what we found is that a lot before we should think it's mainly in the brain, but 95% of that serotonin, that feel good hormone, that hormone that plays a huge role in our mood, is produced in the gut, right? And it's produced by those healthy, beneficial, good bacteria. If you've ever heard about the microbiome, where a person say you need good bacteria, you need that nice balance. Yes, so that good bacteria actually helps produce that serotonin. And so having that healthy, nutritious diet helps you with that, keep those serotonin levels balanced because they help with helping the microbiome. So that's where you would find you feel better mood, mental clarity and energy. While on the flip side, right, we might have where the gut health is poor, maybe from lack of that the improper nutrition, right, and it might lead to low serotonin levels, which can affect your sleep, cause gut issues, even sugar cravings, right, anxiety, irritability, low energy, right, and so persons may even recognize they may even be feeling depression. And one of the medications used to medicate with depression, for example, actually targets those serotonin receptors. And just to tie this in even more, studies have found that persons who have certain digestive or gut disorders, like irritable bowel syndrome or the inflammatory bowel disease, like Crohn's disease, for example, they are more likely to experience depression and anxiety. So I want to be mindful when I mention this. So while food does play a role when we're managing depression and anxiety, so it's a holistic approach. But I want to make sure it's clear: it's food alone cannot cure mental health conditions. It's just that it has a role to play. So I wanted to make that clear. So other things now that can throw off this imbalance when it comes to mood is looking at foods that are ultra processed foods or sugary foods, artificial sweeteners, fried foods. Again, those have been shown to link to the mental health struggles. Have you ever felt tired or sluggish after a big meal? Right? Can drop a 2 in the chat for this one. So what happens is we're using, like, let's say you have a big meal and maybe you feel a little bloated or the energy levels are low. What can happen is that for us to break down the food or digest the food, it requires energy. And so when we need a lot more energy, a lot of our energy can be diverted to digesting the food. So therefore, there's less energy elsewhere poor and can lead to that sluggish and discomfort. But that's one way. Another thing is what's the makeup of the food itself? Is it, as in the meal you just had, is it an imbalanced diet? Because if you're having like too much carbs, for example, and little, or maybe only carbs, sometimes, when we're a little tired or um, rushed for time, we might just grab like a donut or a muffin. They're just carbs, nothing else. What can happen there is you can get a short burst of energy followed by tiredness, and that can be because of some blood sugar spikes there. Other reason, I see someone said yes in the chat about feeling a little bloated and tired. Some persons, I know I recognize it for myself, when I eat out, I tend to feel very bloated versus when I cook my own meal, even if it's the same thing. And one of the things that can happen is that when you think about restaurants, fast food places, they tend to put a lot more salt and oil than we would. And that salt can definitely lead to some bloating as well. So in a nutshell, what's happening here is that the food you eat, the amount of food you eat, how you balance it plays a crucial role as well. But your gut microbiome and how healthy that is crucial for nutrient absorption, as those vitamins and minerals, as small as they are that we need. If you look at, we know we need a lot of protein, a lot of carbs, a lot of fat in right proportion, and we need less amounts of vitamins and minerals. But even though we need those in small amounts, sometimes we don't get enough of them in our diet, and they can play a huge role in how our energy levels are. And having a good gut health, right, can actually help to absorb those nutrients properly and indirectly affect how our body produces the energy levels. So, talked about the mood, the energy levels, and we're looking at immune health as well. So, we're looking at the immune system now. And maybe you've heard of it before, especially when we were the pandemic. A lot of people talk about immune system, and we learned a lot more about it. And we found that 70 to 80% of our immune cells is in our gut. So if our digestive system is healthy, it can determine or how well we're going to fight off illnesses. So if you frequently get sick or you're feeling tired a lot, it can be that poor gut health is something you take a look at. And when looking about the immune health itself, so again, that food that we mentioned can determine how well that gut health or the gut microbiome is. Like, is it balanced to have the healthy bacteria versus the good or beneficial bacteria versus the bad bacteria? So it is, what is it that we're eating, and and that can also determine the strength of our immune function as well. Because let's say we have a fiber-rich diet, for example, that supports the healthy bacteria and can reduce inflammation, versus the one with the sugary foods can actually cause inflammation to go up instead. So it's just having a nice balance of things that we're doing. Sometimes it can be difficult to lose weight if you have a poor gut health. But did you know that excess fat, especially in the midsection, can actually secrete certain hormones that can stimulate inflammation and weaken the immune response, and again can be a correlation with the gut imbalance as well. And I wanted to pause here because I wanted to ask a question. Do you know your waist size? Like, you don't need to tell me the waist size or anything. I just want to know if you know it yet or not. You can drop a 5 in the chat if you know it. The reason why I ask is because I want to encourage you to get that check. Because having a waist size that is too much, or a waist to hip ratio that's off, can be key in the health indicators, because one that's too much can be linked to increased risk of heart disease, certain cancers, diabetes, other metabolic disorders. And so it's very important to check. And the numbers have changed into what was considered healthy. The number is now for male. If it's more than 37 inches, you're at higher risk. For women, it's more than 31.5 inches. You're at higher risk. And what I wanted to do for everyone here is that, to, of course, get it checked out, measure your own, and to kind of give you an idea of what your health risk is like. But also, if you'd like to get deeper insights into your numbers, and to get some actionable steps, we are offering a free wellness profile. And it also includes a one-on-one consultation with one of our wellness coaches. Just to give you an idea what the breakdown is, because at the end of the wellness profile, you get some numbers, and a wellness coach can go through it with you and tell you what those numbers mean and give you some actionable steps to take. So the next thing we want to look at now is what are some signs or symptoms that can indicate that maybe you may have a poor gut health, or is it that your digestive system is functioning properly? So, for example, maybe you're experiencing persistent bloating, or you're not going to the bathroom as frequently as you should. Constantly fatigue. That low energy. Maybe you have food cravings, sugary foods, salty foods, sensitive to certain foods as well can cause it. Your skin probably breaks out frequently, or you have a dull skin than usual, or maybe even get frequent infections as well. And I already mentioned probably troubles losing weight as well. Those are just some of the things that can indicate that maybe, you may be having signs of a poor gut health.
So, if you've been feeling tired, moody, or run down lately, your gut might be trying to tell you something. The good news: if poor gut health is to blame, there are steps that can help turn things around. And in the next video, we'll explore what makes up a healthy gut microbiome, what can throw it off, and some simple strategies to help maintain and support a healthy gut. So make sure you're subscribed and hit that bell so you don't miss it. Your gut just might thank you. Be well, stay safe, and see you in the next one.